Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. We are going to continue our conversation on the recent Roe versus Wade decision to overturn the federal law of abortion. On the same aspect, very similar to Title VII, is the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. And so it's exactly what it says. Congress, so this is federal law as well, says if there's a pregnancy, childbirth, or related conditions related to a pregnancy, any kind of negative actions taken would be considered unlawful sex discrimination, and is specifically related to Title VII, which we already went over. So very, very clear that there's an actual act related to pregnancy discrimination. And so, again, I can't stress enough, you need to be teaching your managers to, hey, here are some key words. They don't necessarily need to know what laws they are, but they do need to know that they're federal laws. And then on top of that, your state may go above and beyond and have state laws. I don't care what the name of the laws are, to be honest. I just want you and your managers to know, nope, this is illegal. Do not touch this conversation. Do not make decisions based on this conversation. For some of you that are on the call or listening today, if you're large enough, so if you have 50 or more employees in the workplace, you may also be covered by, your employees may be covered by the Family Medical and Leave Act, FMLA, the federal one, and or a state version of the FMLA. And so that's another law that comes into play that employees may be covered by, say if they are pregnant and they're taking leave to have a child, or complications of a birth and or an abortion, whether it's by choice or by medical choice, whatever it might be. That's none of your business. It's between them and their doctor. And so we need to make sure that you understand that if you're covered by the FMLA, that your employee may also be covered by that because of pregnancy, which is extended to include abortion. And so that means they would get up to 12 weeks of leave, in a 12-month period. You know how FMLA goes. If you don't, please look into it if you have 50 or more employees. So, these laws are all very, very serious, and they come with very, very large liabilities attached. And so, again, not only are they federal, they're state. So a lot of them just kind of compound on top of each other: FMLA, Pregnancy Discrimination, Title VII, and then, of course, Americans with Disabilities Act, too. So if the employee's doctor determines that they have a temporary disability, perhaps related to a pregnancy, which possibly could be something that says your life is in danger and therefore you need to get an abortion, then that may also be covered under the ADA. And so, it's an impairment that is a major, limits their major life activity or a major bodily function, even if temporarily. We need to make sure that it's an incredibly interactive process. It's not one and done. It's not, oh, I did this for somebody else, I'm just going to copy and paste. And this is for all disabilities. And so there's, again, I just can't stress this enough. I don't even know all the laws. These are a couple of the main ones. But because every state has their own set of laws, and then in some cases all the way down to, your zip code may have additional laws. The bottom line is if you're teaching your managers to have their radar go off when these conversations are happening and to say, okay, proceed with caution with these conversations, or go to HR, whoever we dedicate in our organization for the expert to be. It could be a consultant as well. Don't have those conversations on your own. Let's go get help and have those conversations. Don't worry so much about what laws they are, because if you're violating it on a federal level, you're definitely violating it on a state level. But there could be more laws that your states are coming out with specifically related to abortion right now too. So we have to be very, very careful. And I'm I hate to start off a podcast by saying, okay, here's all the scare tactics, but the bottom line is this really is serious. Especially if your organization or yourself is taking the stance of, I agree with Roe versus Wade. It doesn't matter if you agree or not. Your employees are people, and they need to be treated as such in a very individual basis. And so you have to have an interactive process with each one of your people, whether they are the person that is asking for care, assistance, resources for a pregnancy or an abortion, or possibly a person that is in their family that may or may not be covered by one of these laws as well because of their family relations, such as FMLA, and or it could be somebody in their family that they are the other parent of a potential pregnancy, which now may be going into an abortion for whatever reason, which is, again, not really any of your business. That's a decision between a person and their doctor. We just need to, again, use empathy, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit in moving forward. The last thing that I wanted to say before we move on to some other things for the laws is health insurance. And so for those of you listening today that do have health insurance, like you have company health insurance, you do need to also know that this Roe versus Wade being overturned could also affect your health insurance. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is things like birth control options could be affected. And so if you were previously offering birth control on your prescription plans, things can be affected. I have found a couple articles of what states currently, and they're trying to keep it updated, are changing information on birth control, on abortion, and other information. And it's a lot. A lot of states are saying that, hey, it's going to be up to the doctor maybe to say, nope, I'm not going to prescribe birth control because it's against my religious beliefs. And we'll kind of leave that conversation there because I don't want to go into that. We'll be here for days. But a lot of states are, the power is being handed back to the states. And unfortunately, what that does mean is a lot of states are saying, okay, we're removing access to care, to abortions, to birth control altogether. So more states are removing access than are giving access. And so what that means to your employees, what it may mean is access to birth control may be changed. And so you need to stay on top of that with your health insurance plans as well to find out what can I do for my employees when they're asking for this information. Maybe your state health insurance or your health insurance in that state says we're removing this altogether, or just doctors, many doctors are removing their decision to provide health insurance prescriptions, birth control prescriptions. Other things that might be also affected in your state or in your health insurance as a whole is reproductive technology like IVF. So some states are saying, no, you're tampering with the natural process, and we don't want to have that in our state. Fertility treatments as well, where there may be treatments where there's saving embryos or eggs for later on. Some states are saying, no, that's against what we believe in, or doctors are saying, no, that's against what I believe in religiously. And then, of course, there's the huge conversation of miscarriages. And so miscarriages are generally, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, but, they're generally not the fault of the pregnant woman. And in some states, either all the way down to maybe even health insurance plans or doctors themselves, they were saying abortion is 100% banned no matter what the reason, including rape and miscarriage. And so the human body doesn't actually always expel the other parts of a body, such as a fetus that is no longer alive. And so an abortion may need to be taking place in order to save that individual's life. And if your state says, nope, it's 100% banned, then your employee may be, or their family member may be at the risk of dying because of that. And so these are really serious conversations that is unfortunate that this ends up being an HR issue. This should really be between a person and their doctor. But the Supreme Court said, nope, now this is now a company issue, which is very, very awkward for us to be having these conversations at work about an individual's health and, possibly down to their miscarriage. So these are the reasons why HR or those who are acting as HR need to say, whoa, this is way bigger than I thought, and this is way bigger than my personal feelings or my employees' personal feelings. So remember, the final thing that I want to say on the law type thing is everybody has a right to privacy. Most of that rights to privacy is actually covered by some kind of law. So it's super, super important that you do train your managers, even if you want to go above and beyond the law and say, this is what we're going to be doing in our organization in order to help our employees.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.